You're right on time for Sunday Live, and we have lots in store, including a one-on-one interview with the Tharaka Nithi Governor, Muthomi Njuki, who also chairs the Council of Governors Health Committee. And tonight, with tomorrow set to be when counties are meant to absorb the UHC workers, what is the status? Have the issues that have been pending been resolved? Do contribute to the conversation. The SMS number is 22422. The X handles are at Citizen TV Kenya, at Burrows, as is the custom. The highlights.
Sisi ni mmoja wenye wamechomewa nyumba na tumeenda kutafuta amani.
Waasi waliniattack usiku mwendo wa saa 2 nikiwa nikienda njia zangu za kwangu.
Dusk to dawn curfew in Njoro. 1 killed, 8 injured, and homes torched as fresh ethnic clashes rock Mount Narok.
Any official who is not ready to work with us in e-procurement, they can as well leave.
No turning back. President Ruto tells officials opposed to the electronic procurement system to quit, insisting the rollout is unstoppable. Nowhere to learn. Hundreds of school children fail to report as heavy rains submerge schools and cut off roads in Baringo.
Kwa hivyo tunataka wale ambao wako katika Wizara ya Afya wakianza na Mheshimiwa Duale muwaondoe.
Resign or be kicked out. Third Force MPs pile pressure on Duale over Shah scandal as Kenya Kwanza allies dare them to bring on the motion. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yula Nzale. A 7-day dusk to dawn curfew has been imposed in Tipis and Mwisho-Walami areas in Nakuru County after fresh clashes rocked Mount Narok, leaving 1 person dead, 8 injured, and 12 houses torched. As you'll hear now from Miriam Nyambura, tension remains high in the area, with government deploying heavy security to quell the situation.
The aftermath of Saturday's clashes between 2 communities in Tipis along the Nakuru-Narok border. 12 houses torched, leaving tens of families homeless.
Nikukosa tumekosa amani. Sisi ni mmoja wenye wamechomewa nyumba na tumeenda kutafuta amani.
Lakini yale mambo nilishuhudia usiku sijawahi shuhudia. Watu zaidi ya 200 walivamia center maploti yetu na mpaka kujeruhi wengine wesetu, na ndio nimeona siwezi vumilia, heri niende nyumbani kidogo mpaka amani ipatikane, lakini najua kwa sababu Mungu yuko na serikali iko, suluhu itapatikana.
Tension was high for the better part of Sunday as residents barricaded the Nakuru-Narok road at Mwisho-Walami, protesting the killing of 1 person, while 8 others are nursing injuries in hospital. Moses Masai, one of the victims, is relocating with his family.
Waasi waliniattack usiku mwendo wa saa 2. Watu walikuwa wengi, more than 20. So wakanipiga, wakanikata hapa hivi, then wakaathiri jicho.
To bring order to the area, the government has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew. A security meeting was held in Tipis Center, bringing together security teams from Narok and Nakuru to seek an amicable solution to the skirmishes.
Karibu siku 3 ama 4 ambayo imepita, tumekuwa na mizozo katika hii mji wetu wa Tipis, na mzozo huo ulitokana na kitu kidogo tu, kutoelewana kwa ajili ya mambo ya nini, ya umeme, si ndio hivyo?
Saa 1 home, 5 tuamuke hata pale Mwisho-Walami, na tumekubaliana na wao.
Miriam Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Hundreds of learners have not reported for third term, while tens of families have been rendered homeless as Lake Baringo, one of Kenya's most iconic freshwater bodies, once again burst its banks. What was once a thriving destination for education, tourism and fishing now lies in ruin, submerged beneath a relentless tide that brings with it hippos, crocodiles and the looming spectre of disaster. With that report is Ben Kirui.
This is what the learners in many schools in Baringo County have had to go through on a daily basis after Lake Baringo burst its banks. At Loruk Primary School, the impact is both surreal and sobering. The school playground has transformed into a swamp where hippos and crocodiles roam freely. The shoreline now lies a mere 30 meters from the classrooms, and the children must wade through knee-high water to reach school.
Watoto wetu wadogo wanahangaika sana kuvuka hii bahari. Hii bahari ilipoongezeka, mashimo ikatokesea kwa barabara. Watoto wadogo wa nasari inakuwa shida sana kupita maji. Maji inajaa kwa baharini. Sasa serikali tafanya nini sasa?
Most parents have been forced to hold back their children for safety concerns. Some are escorting their toddlers to school. The risk is all too real. Over the holidays, a student was attacked by a crocodile while attempting the same crossing.
Juzi kuna mamba ilikula mtoto ya shule. Ilishika kwa bahati mbaya. So tunahofia kabisa kwa sababu the children are not safe.
Further east of the lake, Nosukuro Primary School has been completely swallowed by the lake with no alternative facilities. Students are stranded. Nearby villages are now accessible only by boat, cutting off families from education, markets and medical care. The threat is not limited to school grounds. Along the Marigat-Molingot Road, matatus cautiously navigate through waterlogged stretches. Entire sections of the region have become virtually impassable.
Hii bahari wakati tulifunga shule ilikuwa sawa, haikuwa imeongezeka, lakini tulipofungua ndio ikawa changamoto. Maji iliongezeka kwa bahari.
This is not a new phenomenon. Since 2012, the lake's waters have been steadily rising, displacing communities and crippling infrastructure. 19 schools were submerged in the initial surge, forcing institutions like Ngambo, Salabani, and Lake Baringo Secondary School to close or relocate.
Challenges that appear insurmountable in the sense that every so often it rains and the rivers get flooded, and people lose productive land, and sometimes it becomes difficult for residents to even navigate their way to their homes.
The hospitality sector, still recovering from the last flood, has taken another hit. Hotels and lodges again underwater. Ground floor rooms have disappeared beneath the surface, leaving the management and staff facing an uncertain future. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The row over the transition to electronic government procurement, championed by the National Treasury, intensifies, with President William Ruto now saying there is no turning back on its implementation. The president warning procurement officials opposed to the e-procurement system to resign. With that report is Stephen Leto.
County played host to President William Ruto and his delegation, who graced the Sunday service at the ACK St. Peter's Cathedral. The rollout of the electronic government procurement system took center stage, with President Ruto warning procurement officers opposing the system to quit.
And we are going to implement e-procurement. There is no going back. Any official who is not ready to work with us in e-procurement, they can as well leave. Waondoke kwa serikali, waende watafute kazi nyingine.
My plea to the accounting officers, don't listen to your procurement officers because they don't want to let go where they have been stealing public funds.
Treasury has been working round the clock to onboard all government agencies to the e-procurement platform, with President Ruto saying the system will clean up the procurement fraud.
Kuna watu wengi wamezoea kandarasi ya ukora. Kitu ya shilingi 2 tunanunua shilingi 10 kama serikali kwa sababu ya procurement ya ukora hapo ya quotation na nini na nini.
My team at the National Treasury did not have a weekend. They are making sure that by next week, all state departments, all county governments are ready to do procurement through e-procurement platform.
What this country has always required is leadership. Leadership that is prepared to make hard decisions.
Leaders who accompanied the president in Siaya lauded the president's efforts to fight corruption.
If there is a member of parliament, including myself, who is running the hospital and is involved in this crowd, we want to urge you, fieka hao. If there are people in the mainstream government who are also involved in this fraud around SHA, fieka hao rais.
We are supporting Baba Raila Amolo Odinga na President Ruto to fight corruption. Ile corruption iko kwa serikali, Mheshimiwa Rais, onyesha sisi tasaidia wewe kufagia.
President Ruto later laid foundation stones for the construction of the Sidindi Market and water projects in Ugunja constituency.
Your Excellency the President, you are on the road of putting Kenya together. And this is exemplified by the fact that when you are forming your government, you included the people of Siaya.
Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
And even as the executive pushes for the implementation of the e-procurement system, the Council of Governors is on Monday set to convene an extraordinary summit to chiefly discuss the rollout of the system the national government touts as remedial to manual procurement-bred corruption. COG says so far no county is using the system and maintains its position should not be viewed as resistance to the directive and instead glaring systemic inefficiencies should first be addressed. With that report is Ayub Abdikadir.
The pushback by the Council of Governors comes despite the firm stance by the national government. On the new electronic government procurement system pushed by the National Treasury. And now the governors say the forceful transition will be consequential.
For the governors, the main thing is the functionality of the system. Is the system working? Yes or no? And we only get to know that from the people that use it in our counties. Because when the system doesn't work, then it gridlocks the service delivery. That's the discussion we're going to have.
And with the executive determined to roll out the system, the Council of Governors says the insistence on the new system by the National Treasury risks grinding to a halt service delivery across the devolved units.
What we have a problem with is if the system is either rushed and it's not well piloted successfully before it's fully implemented, and if there is no parallel run in case it doesn't work. Because some of the things that we're procuring are things that can't wait.
2 months into the financial year, and despite the directive by the National Treasury for all procurement to be done using the new system, a majority of ministries and state departments are yet to use the system, decrying technical challenges, a similar position held by the governors. Also on the governor's card during the extraordinary meeting is the issue of impeachment.
The result of the division indicates that the motion has been negatived. Consequently, the impeachment hearing hereby terminates.
With Governor Eric Mutai off the hook in yet another impeachment trial at the Senate, and just a month after Isiolo County's Abdi Guyo, the governors say the constitutional avenue has been abused.
Of course, we do understand that some of these things are personal, and every case has to be prosecuted on its own merit, but it's a concern given the some of the cases that are coming up, and also some of the impeachment cases also.
Also to be discussed during the governor's meeting is the transitioning of universal healthcare coverage staff to the counties, which the devolved units have decried. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua now says the Social Health Authority is a grand scam aimed at siphoning billions of taxpayers' money. While attending a church service in Kajiado County, Gachagua maintained his claim that State House is the epicenter of corruption through alleged bribery of delegations from various regions. Opposition allied leaders Eugene Wamalwa and the former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i said they will not relent in keeping government accountable.
The former deputy president, in his first public outing since returning from the US, saying the new medical scheme is fraught with corruption involving senior government officials.
Money is being sent to non-existent hospitals. We shall shut down all those hospitals. How do you shut down hospitals that do not exist?
The DCP party leader, who later addressed a rally at the Ongata Rongai Kware open-air market, accused the president of aiding and abetting corruption by alleged issuance of bribes to delegations at State House to support government agenda.
Parle Ikulu has become the center of corruption in broad daylight. It is very embarrassing. So pia tunataka watu ya Kajiado pia kutekeleza.
Speaking in Narok County, the Democratic Action Party Kenya party leader, Eugene Wamalwa, called on Kenyans to hold President William Ruto's administration accountable over what he terms as massive looting of public coffers.
Billions have been stolen. We have ghost facilities that have received millions. You are overtaxing Kenyans with this SHA.
Sentiments shared by former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, who attended a church service at St. Peter's Catholic Church, Elbagon in Molo, Nakuru County.
Hii SHA inafanya kazi. Sasa si kinyi ndio, people watu wanafikiri sisi tunasema. Consumers wanasema inafanya kazi haifanyi.
You know what has been happening in the Ministry of Health? You know how they're eating money from SHA?
The opposition leaders vowed to remain united and back one presidential flag bearer in the 2027 general election. Opposition leaders say they will continue holding President William Ruto's administration accountable until good governance is extended to the masses. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Ongata Rongai, Kajiado County.
Members of Parliament allied to the new Kenya Moja outfit have continued to sustain pressure on the Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, asking him to quit or be kicked out. As you'll hear now from Kamau Mwangi, their counterparts in government, however, want the Cabinet Secretary to tighten individuals and facilities involved in fraud.
As the debate on fraudulent claims to the country's social health authority as well as payments to non-existing health facilities rage on, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale is coming under heavy fire and pressure to resign from his post. And after he vowed to stay put, members of parliament under the Kenya Moja umbrella and fashioning themselves as the third force are now threatening to initiate impeachment proceedings against the cabinet secretary, confident that they'll throw him out of Afya House.
Najua signatures ziko tayari. Huyu Duale, wakati mnatoka recess, muhakikishe mswada umeletwa kwa sababu he must take political responsibility ya wizi ya pesa ya wananchi ambayo inafanyika pale kwenye SHA.
When you are throwing answers right, left and center, Duale, I want to remind you, as you play with your games, 156 children are being born every hour and can die.
Kwa sababu Ruto ameshinda kuwatoa, sisi tutamtolea hawa watu. Hata kama mnaenda nyumbani, tunawaomba acha wa Kenya wakiwa hai.
The CS, who is on the spotlight after having halted payments to hospitals suspected to have fronted fraudulent claims to the authority and accusing a section of legislators of being behind a scheme to defraud the government, is being accused of running down the country's health sector.
Hakuna pesa yote inaweza potea hii Kenya kama rais ajui. Hakuna pesa yote inaweza potea kwa nyumba yako kama wewe hujui nani ameiba hiyo pesa. Ukweli uongo? Kwa hivyo huyu rais lazima awe raia in 2027.
Their counterparts allied to government, however, want Duale to stay put. Addressing gatherings in Kisii and Makueni counties on Sunday, the legislators called for the continued cleanup of the health insurance to aid in the fight against corruption that they say has dogged the delivery of quality health.
Mtu yoyote ambaye anachezea project ambayo inaweza kusaidia mwananchi wa kawaida, huyo sio mtu anafaa kukaa na wananchi wengine. Unajua kulikuwa na ukora mingi sana ilikuwa inafanyika katika ile ilikuwa inaitwa NHIF. Unapata mtu anafungua ka kliniki kama hapa Makindu na analipwa pesa mingi kushinda hata Makindu level 5 hospital hii yenu iko hapa.
Na mpende msipende, cartels wa SHA watashikwa wawekwe ndani. Cartels wa bunge watashikwa wawekwe ndani. Cartels wa magavana mumeona? Si gavana mmoja amesemekana ashikwe.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
A dispute over the ownership of a 4,700-acre Ol Kiombo ranch within the Masai Mara National Reserve has found itself in Parliament, with the local community calling on the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Lands to intervene. In a petition filed before the committee, residents want MPs to protect the Ol Kiombo area from Narok Governor's brother, Livingstone Kunini Ole Ntutu, who won a 26-year-old dispute with Narok County government in March. Petitioners claim Governor Patrick Ntutu is conflicted and should be barred from handling any deliberations on the same. Gatatin Njoroge has that report.
This is an initial engagement.
The battle for ownership of 4,700 acres of Ol Kiombo Ranch located within Masai Mara National Reserve seems far from over. A 26-year-old legal fight within the corridors of justice has found its way in Parliament.
We have come as a team.
A section of residents have petitioned the National Assembly Committee on Lands to step in, probe the matter and secure what they say is public land being handed over to a private citizen.
I appeal that this committee, through its constitutional mandate, ensures, 1, the regular titles are revoked. 2, the boundaries are reaffirmed and Ol Kiombo is rightfully restored to the people of Narok County.
In their submission, residents claim the land in question forms part of Masai Mara ecosystem, which is a community land held in trust. However, Narok Environment and Land Court in March ruled in favor of Livingstone Kunini Ole Ntutu, who moved to court in 2000, arguing that he was registered as the owner of the land on October 14, 1997. In the ruling, Kunini was granted ownership of the contested ranch and allowed to collect fees, rent and levies from the area, boosting 13 camps and an airstrip.
The amount of money that the county government collects through these facilities, through the rents, other levies, loyalties, is about 1 billion. So it means if this goes, it will be an individual at the expense of a society, at the expense of a community that will be pocketing the 1 billion Kenya shilling.
A ruling that has been challenged at the Court of Appeal in Nakuru. Court of Appeal directed that Kunini is at liberty to continue collecting tourism revenues, but will render the full amount collected should the appeal succeed. He has, however, been stopped from disposing of the land.
If then the appeal is successful, he has, the respondent has the duty to say, I'm bankrupt and you cannot recover this money, right? He has the obligation to say, I misused the money, because the court did not tell him how to use that money.
With the county governments being the custodian of community land within their jurisdictions, the petitioners want the national government to oversight Narok County on Ol Kiombo land issue.
The current governor of Narok County, who is constitutionally the custodian of county public land, has a direct conflict of interest because the claimant, Mr. Livingstone Kunini Ole Ntutu, is both his biological brother and close confidant.
Tutaita wale watu wa ministry, wakati wanakuja watakuja na director of survey, tutakuwa tumewaandikia barua tuwaelezee ile mambo tunataka, so that wakati wanakuja watakaa vile mmekaa hivyo, including huyo PS wetu ambaye ni Nixon Korir.
The dispute over the piece of land escalated in March after High Court ruled in favor of Kunini. One person was killed and 4 others, including 2 police officers, injured when angry residents protested court's decision. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
We take a break on Sunday Live, but do remember we have a one-on-one interview with the Tharaka Nithi Governor, Muthomi Njuki, who also serves as the chair of the Council of Governors Health Committee. We're discussing UHC workers who were contracted during the COVID pandemic, but as of tomorrow, they're meant to be absorbed by the county governments on PNP basis. What is the status? Have all pending issues been resolved? Talk to us. The SMS line is 22422. The X handles are at @obarrows, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is Citizen Sunday Live. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us on Sunday Live. As the government kickstarts compensation process for victims of protests, a number of victims remain bedridden, nursing bullet wounds sustained during the chaos. Despite having been discharged from hospitals, the victims have not had follow-up treatment for lack of resources. Ode Francis reports on the deteriorating health conditions of two victims, Mark Clinton Dea in Babadogo, Kariadudu, and Samuel Omondi in Jericho.
Clinton Dea, once a chef in high-end hotels, has now spent 3 months at home without income. His leg continues to deteriorate after being shot in the thigh. He was treated briefly and told to return home.
Hospitali nilirudi, nikaambiwa for clinic inafaa nikuwe na 1100. Sasa hiyo hata sina hata 1 bob. Ningefanya sasa ilibidi tu nirudi kwa sababu nilifikiria clinic bado nikienda napata ni bure venye ilikuwa.
The situation mirrors that of Samuel Omondi, who had 7 bullets removed from his spinal cord. 1 remains lodged in his body.
Nilimanage kupata fare kurudi huko, thinking that it will be free. Daktari aliniuliza ati ushalipa, nikamuuliza kulipa nini? Ati si umekuja check up? Yeah. Akaniambia tu hii Kenya sasa hakuna kitu ya bure.
He takes us to the place where he used to work, a job he can no longer perform.
Kukiwa na baridi, hata nivae sweater, unasikia ndani, si ati hapa nje, unasikia baridi ndani ya bone, mwili yote.
With pain and sorrow, Samuel says his life has told. He can no longer do anything after the bullet injury to his spine. Their fear of reporting to the police is rooted in one concern.
Sasa wewe umeenda kuripoti police station uko na risasi. So utajua mimi ni muuni, wananichukulia hapo hatua. Yeah. Na mimi siko anachukua kitu ya mtu ama kufanya kitu ya mtu.
This piece of cloth is all Mark Clinton has to manage the constant discharge from his wound.
Nitibiwe kidonda, ipone. Niendelee na hustle yangu ya kila siku. Uliko kaa chini kila saa unapigia mtu simu ukimwambia nisaidie 100, nisaidie 50 bob, nisaidie nini. Ya unajua saa kama saa hiyo job ilishapotea hivyo.
Kanaweza pata any job yenye naweza fanya na hii condition yangu. Yeah. Naweza furahia.
This was Samuel's daily grind, his source of livelihood. But after being shot, he can no longer work. He only comes here to watch without earning a cent. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Kenyatta National Hospital has just offered to treat the 2 young men, that is Clinton and Samuel, and asked them to report to the hospital tomorrow. Away from that, the globally acclaimed National Basketball Association is training its eyes on Africa, tapping raw talent and shaping future stars through its prestigious Basketball Without Borders boot camp. And in a historic first, East Africa played host with Kigali's BK Arena, turning into a breeding ground for tomorrow's NBA greats. Isaac Swiller reports from Rwanda.
At Kigali's iconic BK Arena, the hardwood floor became a proving ground for 60 of Africa's brightest prospects, 30 boys and an equal number of girls drawn from 22 nations.
3, 1, 2, 3, together!
With NBA scouts watching closely, every dribble, shot and rebound carried the weight of possibility. Among them, a 17-year-old Kenyan, Ben Kwame Ayogi, who has already secured a scholarship in New Jersey, USA, and now dreams of making the big leap from local courts to the global stage.
I feel like it helps you learn how to communicate and be with different people, and also shows you how hard you need to work, being with the best of the best.
The National Basketball Association is not just growing the game, it's building a future pipeline of stars through its flagship camp, Basketball Without Borders. To sharpen the youngsters' abilities, the NBA assembled some of its finest coaching minds, former players and elite trainers who push the campus through grueling drills, tactical lessons, and team-building sessions. For the young athletes, it was more than training. It was a masterclass in discipline, resilience, and what it truly takes to play at the highest level.
These kids have dreams of hopefully taking their basketball careers to another level, and this is a chance for them to be able to get like some great teaching, some great resources, and like you're one step closer to your dream.
Beyond mentorship, the NBA is also investing millions of dollars in building basketball infrastructure across Africa, as Michael Finlay, NBA Kenya lead, explains.
And it's an opportunity for the best young talent to be showcased to some of the best coaches and scouts and NBA personnel, from around the globe.
Officials say the vision is crystal clear: to spot raw talent, nurture it to greatness.
Developing coaches is also a big part of what this program, African talent, some of it stay on the continent, play in club basketball, but those who leave also, they come back and compete for their national team.
We invite African countries that want to host BWB to let us know, because we want to go to new countries, we want to take it to different places. And so once we know, we'll tell you.
Since its launch in 2001, Basketball Without Borders has staged 77 camps in 51 cities across 33 countries on 6 continents, benefiting more than 4,500 campers from 142 nationalities.
After 4 days of rigorous camp, the Basketball Without Borders boot camp has suddenly come to an end. And now, attention shifts to next year's event, with the coaches and scouts impressed by the talents on parade, some of whom will be boarding the plane to Los Angeles early next year. For Citizen TV in Kigali, Rwanda, I am Isaac Swila.
Royal Media Services wrapped up a vibrant week with powerful spiritual engagements across the country, with a Sunday service in Uasin Gishu County. And in Nairobi, a historic gospel concert was held at the Uhuru Gardens, where thousands witnessed the first ever live performance in Kenya by Grammy award-winning gospel artist CeCe Winans.
Royal Media Services concluded a 3-day tour in Uasin Gishu County with an uplifting Sunday service as Radio Citizen presenters joined worshippers at Hope Impartation Church in Soi Town. The service drew hundreds of faithful unified in song and spirit. Radio Citizen's Pambazuka show host Salim Beyo delivered an uplifting message to the congregation.
Msingi wa ulimwengu ni jamii. Kama jamii haiko sawa, hiyo inakuwa roots. Basi haya mambo mengine yote yanaharibika.
Even this young generation that's here, what is the right doctrine and teaching that tunawapatia? Hawa watoto ukiona hapa ni watoto ambao bado ni wachanga. So kile ambacho hata kanisa wanaweka ndani yao kitawapeleka mbali.
Outside the church, children were treated to snacks courtesy of Raha Premium Ngano, a brand committed to supporting nourishment and community wellness.
I had a chance to engage with the community and engage with our customers who partake our products.
For 3 days, Radio Citizen engaged directly with fans across the Rift Valley. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. And in Nairobi, Uhuru Gardens was packed to capacity as thousands of gospel music lovers gathered for a once-in-a-lifetime moment. A live performance by gospel icon CeCe Winans. The unforgettable night was part of her global More Than This tour, hosted by Mad Fun in partnership with Citizen TV, Citizen Digital and Hot 96, all under the Royal Media Services umbrella. Winans, who arrived in Nairobi on Friday, took the stage with passion and purpose, delivering an electrifying worship experience that moved the crowd.
The concert itself was so lively and it was a wonderful worship experience.
Is there a song you are hoping to hear?
I had most of my songs. Okay. Yes. I've really loved this concert because everyone is so spirited with Sisi and Sisi is just amazing.
The experience has been great. Seeing Sisi Winans perform live in Kenya for the first time. I'm a super fan and she actually performed the song that I was anticipating and I'm super grateful for it.
She was joined on stage by local gospel group Vanisi, among other performers, making it a night of deep spiritual elevation. Steve Shitera, Citizen TV, Soy Wasingishu.
The sight of a herd of elephants is a majestic experience for tourists, but in Kajiado County villages, it spells fear and loss as crops that feed families are trampled and destroyed. Now, a new solution is taking shape. Drones are being used to drive elephants away from farms, easing tension between people and wildlife. Nancy Kering reports for Citizen Planet.
At the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, a majestic herd of elephants grazes peacefully, a scene that captures the wonder of tourists. But for locals in several villages across Kajiado County, this is no spectacle, it's a nightmare. Every elephant sighting spells doom for their farms and livelihoods, a crisis that often demands urgent backup.
Early this year, it was on March, nilikuwa nimeotesha mahindi pande ya Marura, shamba nyingine tofauti sio hii. Nilifamiwa na ndovu wanne, wakakula nusu yaka. Kwa bahati nzuri, nilimpigia ofisa Legei, wakanitumia ofisa wake, wakaja wakanisaidia.
A task that has long been a tall order for both the community and rangers, the frontline guardians of peace between man and beast.
Previously, we were using torches, vehicles, and more so sometimes it goes ahead of blanks, the firing of blanks, and you need to be nearer to the elephant.
David Ntinina, a community ranger and drone operator, says his job has become much easier since the introduction of drones.
Naturally, elephants dislike this sound, disturbance, so they have to turn back and leave the farm, and it makes more easier because you can have it away from the farm. It is more safe than any other method.
The drones soar high above the elephants, their attached flashlights illuminating the herds, gently driving them away from farmlands.
It's a multi-purpose drone. It can work during the day, it can work during the night. So as far as you get any communication from the farmers that there are elephants around their farms, you just respond as early as possible. Because we have other elephants which are collared, which gives us the real time, so we keep on tracking them. So it gives us the real time, and you have to deploy yourself as early as less than 10 minutes you're there.
An alert from farmers is first received here at the communication center. The radio operator relays the message to his team, pinpointing the location before they move out. For elephants fitted with collars, tracking them to the farms behind the distress call becomes much easier.
Yeah, watu wakiripot hizo report tuseme area fulani kama Orkiu. Sasa hiyo data inatusaidia kujua ile area ambayo hawa ndovu wanaingiliaga kwa kila siku. So unajipanga, maybe unaweza deploy 2 or 3 teams.
It has been 1 year since rangers from the Big Life Conservancy began using drones to drive jumbos away from community farms.
Imetusaidia sana kwa sababu hizo incidents imeanza kupungua. Hata tumeweza kupiga step yenye tumeweza kuprevent, yani tunaona kwa mbali, tunazuia hata kabla hawajakaribia kwa fence ama kuingia kwa watu. Naweza tu enda patrol usurvey hiyo area na unajua hiyo area iko sawa. Kuliko ile ya gari juu mpaka tu tuseme upatane na ndovu ndio ujue kuna ndovu area.
The Kajiado County government has taken an extra step to bolster efforts aimed at keeping Jumbos safely away from human settlements and farmlands.
That is why we want also to secure the wildlife areas from illegal activities, so that once they are chased away using drone technology and any other technology that is applicable, they can move to areas where they are secure and where they can do their grazing with minimal interference from humans.
Joel is one of the farmers now breathing a sigh of relief. The heavy losses he suffered earlier in the year to elephants are now a distant memory. His focus is on the upcoming harvest, which he hopes will compensate for what was lost. Mashirima Kapombe, Citizen TV.
All right, from Citizen Planet to Rumba, and Rumba enthusiasts were treated to a nostalgic musical experience during the vibrant back and forth Rumba edition held at the iconic Carnival Simba Saloon. The event, organized in collaboration with Radio Citizen and Citizen TV's Roga Roga, brought together revelers for a night of dance, celebration, and timeless Rumba classics. Attendees had the chance to mingle with veteran broadcaster and Roga Roga show host Uncle Fred Obachi Machoka, who made a special appearance at the event. The night was graced by outstanding performances from legendary Rumba bands Lewanyika and Bana Mazembe, whose timeless hits kept fans on their feet.
At least we've been able to enjoy ourselves with different bands, and of course Roga Roga being part of the night, you know, that is very fantastic. We're looking forward to many more. I hope you guys, you know, keep bringing this up. It's a very fantastic night. We've had so much fun.
What a concept. This is what African music needs to bring out. Kwa sababu sisi kama Royal Media Services, we have been supporting this event, and unapologetically so, because we love our listeners. We know this is the kind of music our listeners love to dance to listen to, and a huge quorum has just turned out at the carnival to partake. Yani wamekuja tu kupiga sherehe, and it is so nostalgic.
What an eventful night. CC Winans on one side, Uhuru Gardens, and then at the carnival there was Rumba with Uncle Fred Obachi Machoka. I'm now joined by the governor of Tharaka Nithi County, that is Muthomi Njuki, and he also is the chair of the COG Health Committee. Together we'll delve into matters UHC workers and their absorption, and the deadline given by the Ministry of Health is tomorrow. So where are they, where pending issues are concerned? When we come back, I'll also ask him if he's also a fan of Rumba or he went for CC Winans. See you on the other side of this break. Coming up, COG Health Committee Chair Muthomi Njuki joins us next on the planned extraordinary meeting of governors on UHC workers. Thank you for staying with us on Sunday Live. As promised, I'm joined by the Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki, who also chairs the Council of Governors Health Committee. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Kwenye studios as Citizen. Remember, talk to us at Citizen TV Kenya, at O'Barrows. The hashtag is Citizen Sunday Live. The SMS number is 22422. So we already have questions that have come in for you, where the absorption of UHC workers is concerned. But one of the stories we carry tonight is that there is an extraordinary summit scheduled tomorrow for governors. Can you give us an indication of what is on the agenda?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity to be here. The extraordinary summit or the extraordinary meeting of Council of Governors is usually called when we have issues that require urgent attention that cannot be able to wait for the regular time that we meet. And even though it is usually convened by the chair, the agenda is already distributed. And one of the things that is going to be on the table is about We are now moving to the third month of the first quarter of the year, and counties have not done a single procurement, and it's not possible for us to run for 3 months, one whole quarter, without running government, because everything in new financial year has to be procured afresh. For example, we have medicine to be procured, we have fuel to be procured for running government, we have development projects that have to be done in the first quarter. I'm sure you're aware that sometimes we usually have a report from the Controller of Budget that says the first quarter of the year, no county has done any development. You cannot do any development if you're not procuring. And it is because the procurement system we are supposed to be using, which is the e-procurement, is not ready. And therefore we beg that there is a question of, do we wait for procurement system that is not working, or we use what is available as we wait for the other one to work from the designers who are designing it? That is a big question. We have no issue with the e-procurement system, but why is it? Can it work? Of course, the second issue is on the issue of the UG staff. There has been a pronouncement by the Minister of Health that they will transfer the UG staff and absorb the permanent pensionable terms from 1st of September, which is tomorrow.
Yes.
We have no problem with that. We also want to know the roadmap on how they plan to do it, considering the fact that of those 9,724 were recruited, who are now remaining 7,476. The OMOH only has 100 staff who are in their facilities. They had absorbed, they had taken, of the 9,724, MOH only had 130, which that have already left. They only have 100, which they have since absorbed, and they are on permanent and pensionable basis. Of that number, which has now reduced by over 2,000, because people find greener pastures, atrocities, and others get to jobs that have got better terms. We only have 7,476 that are remaining in the counties. Those 7,476 are employees of the 47 county governments. They have letters that were given, or rather the appointment is the various county public service board. So it begs the question of how can the MOH now vary terms without involving the Council of Governors or the 47 counties.
So when you say vary terms, what do you mean?
Well, we are supporting absorbing them in permanent pensionable terms. Mm-hmm. But for how long? You know? Because the MOH knows very well the contract are ending next year in April, in May. Mm-hmm. Some in April, some in May.
Okay.
We would like them to be absorbed in permanent pensionable, but not for the 10 remaining months. We would like it to be in perpetuity. And if the resources are not available to absorb for the remaining, not just for the remaining part of the contract, but in perpetuity, then there's a problem.
But is that not implied by permanent and pensionable, that they are not on contract now, they have been fully absorbed?
You know, first and foremost, the absorption is not by saying we are now going to pay you the market rate. It has to be a letter that has terminated the other contract, and then it has given you a new contract. And then it has to spell the new terms of the contract, which the ministry may not be able to do because they are not the ones who have given them the letters for appointment. So that is why they need to work with us to ensure that we give those letters of permanent pensionable. But we cannot give those letters of permanent pensionable unless we have the resources to be able to absorb them in perpetuity, not just 10 months. What is happening simply is very simple. Uh-huh. The MOH, which has been holding the payroll for the last 5 years, while the employer is the county governments, now has realized that the end of the 6 years that we have been, you see the first 3 years which were done in 2020, lapsed in 2023.
Yes.
And that is the time we should have absorbed them. Mm-hmm. But since both levels of government did not have the resources that time, we said we'll give them another 3 years And then after that, we'll have people to organize ourselves to absorb them in permanent and pensionable terms. That has not happened because there are no resources. And therefore, the plan by the MOH, and they should have been here. They should have been here to tell us exactly what the plan are. Because if they are going to be absorbing permanent pensionable tomorrow, it should not be up to the end of the contract, which is April, which is only going to be 10 months. It should be beyond the 10 months. The reason I'm saying that is because the resources that the national government has at the moment, which is 6.2 billion, which they are saying is the one that is meant to be used to absorb this stuff. Already, almost 700 has been used in paying the salaries for July and August. So what is remaining is about 5.4. 5.4 may be enough to pay the salary at the market rate for the next 10 months, all right? Which is okay. But after those 10 months, the ministry needs to tell us what happens to our UHE staff. Olive, this staff, if I was in charge of giving heroes medals to anyone in this country, I would have given this UHE staff.
But even as you say, if you were in charge of giving medals, you'd have given UHC staff.
Yes.
It has felt like they, for the last 3 years at least,
yes,
they have been an unwanted child, you know, thrown between the MOH and the COG. They're caught in the middle. It's like nobody wants them.
They're not thrown. They're not thrown. I'll tell you why I would feel them giving them medals. These people they have worked under very difficult circumstances because they came in to solve a problem, which was during COVID. And they took employment in terms that are not commensurate to the work they do because it is not the market rate.
Yeah, I see. The statement you released is under the UHC contracts, the workers were paid 50,000 for diploma holders and 40,000 for certificate holders with no other benefits.
No other benefits, all right? They do not have, you can imagine if for 6 years you've not had any promotion, you've not had any, you're not in the collective bargaining agreement that gives you variation in terms of earning other, you see, they're normally giving allowances, extreme allowance, the uniform allowance, and so many other allowances that usually builds up there, including even our allowance. You know, and we do not have to diverge what their colleagues earn here. But this is almost half of what their colleagues earn. You know, I mean, it's half of what their colleagues are earning. Now, after doing all that work, we dupe them with P&P for only 10 months, and we don't provide resources for the counties to absorb them for perpetuity.
So how much would that be? How much would you need for that?
Well, 7,476 UHE staff will require 7.8 billion every financial year without putting into consideration the CBA and also other yearly promotion, because every year there's a yearly increment. So the county should be able to take care of that when they have these other resources, because of course every year DORA normally increases, and one of the factors that are usually put in consideration is the incremental earnings for the staff. So without the 7.8 billion that we are supposed to be given, that is supposed to be given to counties to absorb these staff, it only means that we will transfer the strikes from MOH to the 47 county headquarters. And it is going to be very sad. And that is why we need to agree with the ministry. Why don't we give the counties in the next DORA, or in the current DORA, the 7.8 billion that says this is the money that you'll use to absorb the UHC in perpetuity?
So I'm looking at the statement you released immediately following the Ministry of Health statement on the same, and you talk about meetings having been held. And I see here the dates you've given are 14th of April 2025, 24th of April 2025, and 6th of May 2025 between COG, MOH, and representatives of UHC workers. Were these issues not canvassed? This issue of, it comes down to the money, as I understand it.
Yes, it was canvassed very well. First, we agreed we'll take a head count, which I want to report has since been done. The number by MOH is 7,416, The number by the Council of Governors is 7,476, a difference of 60 workers.
I'm seeing here, 7,414.
Yes, and the one for the
MOH.
Yeah, and the one for Council of Governors is 7,476. So the difference is about 62 workers. That's not a problem because we can still go down and see whether this 60, whether it was a misrepresentation or they are at. And you see that is a problem that is created by not following the principles and the law, because health is devolved.
Mm-hmm.
There was no necessity to have a pseudo arrangement where the workers are with the county governments, but the payroll is with the ministry, because that is the kind of situation. At the moment, when staff leave, it is very difficult for you to actually be able to stop their pay, and most of them usually go for years being paid when they have already stopped working, because the correlation between the counties and the national government in terms of this staff have left. Because if the person supervising the staff is not the person in the payroll, then you have to report to another level for you to stop their salaries once they have left. It's also been a very big issue. We are supposed to replace this staff that have left because the need was there. The need was identified. So you should be asking yourself, this almost 2,200 staff who have left, why have they not been replaced? Because ministry has never replaced a single worker who left. Because to them, it's been an issue of how do we get rid of this problem? How can we get this staff out of our hands as fast as possible? That has been the problem. Mm-hmm. And that is why we are saying now, there should be an arrangement where you should let counties handle the full devolved function like health without having to split it. And ministry, when you talk to them next time, and we are in communication, of course, they are not answering this question. How is it possible for you to vary a contract of an employee who you have not given a letter of appointment if they don't work with the county governments? So we have to come to the table and agree, how do we transition this staff? And it must be very clear. As Council of Governors, we have no problem with the staff being absorbed, but we want the requested resources to ensure that we don't treat the symptom and leave the disease.
So as a Council of Governors, are you saying as of tomorrow the status quo remains, where UHC workers are concerned?
I know what is likely to happen.
What is likely to happen?
What is likely to happen is that the ministry say, we have absorbed you permanent and pensionable. Then the staff will ask, where is the letter? There will be no letter, because we've not agreed on that. So what they'll do, they will increase the salaries to the market rate, all right, for the remaining 10 or 11 months, because the money is there, it is available. After that, if the county governments do not get the requisite money, which can only be in DORA, because there's no other way of transferring money to the counties.
So you're saying you're not ready to vary these contracts until this 7.8 billion, you said, is made available?
You know, unless we have the resources to know that we are absorbing these people and there's money available to pay them after that, then we cannot give them false hope. That is going to be unfairness to our people. And that is why we are telling the UHC staff, we are on the same side with them. They are our employees. We cannot do without 7,476 workers in our health systems at the moment. We will collapse. We need them.
What do you say to the Kenya National Union of Nurses, which say resources follow functions? So they are saying absorb us first, vary our contracts first to PNP, and then the money will follow.
That is not what did not happen in 2020. If resources had followed functions, we wouldn't be where we are today. If in 2020, instead of keeping the payroll in Nairobi, the payroll was given to counties, then we would not be where we are today, because we would have requested for resources in the next DORA to absorb them. That did not happen, and I don't need to remind you again, Olive, that since 2023, when we wanted the staff to be absorbed, we were not able to give any extra money to counties for the absorption. That is why they still kept their payroll in the MOH. So ours is very simple. One, The staff are with the county. The payroll is in MOH. We would like the payroll to come to the counties, and it should come with the requisite resources to absorb them for permanent and pensionable. Secondly, we would like the ministry to ensure that we involve counties in future in making the decisions, and also all the other organs of the government, including the Parliament and the Public Service Commission, SRC, so that we don't issue statements in which I would more or less call, I'll say it's more or less like having populist statements which are issued over press conference and sometimes in statements that we send to the press room without having a proper arrangement, a channel that can ensure that we solve the problem once and for all. It will look like we are politicizing it, which should not be the case. It's a very serious matter that should not be politicized, because these are people's lives. This is staff that have been working with terms and conditions that are not allowed by the law. And the other big issue, which is being swept under the carpet, is that for this staff have worked for 6 years, or the 5 years they've worked. Mm-hmm. If they're under contract, they are supposed to be paid gratuity.
Service gratuity.
They are supposed to be paid gratuity. Mm-hmm. All right? Now, the ministry is telling them, you don't need gratuity at the moment. Gratuity will come. But you see, if you terminate the contract from contract to PNP, that is the end of the first contract. They should be given the gratuity. And it is up to them now to decide, do I take my gratuity or do I have it moved to my pension? In that case, then the money should be moved to whichever pension fund that the county has. If it's CPF, they move it to CPF. If it is a LAP fund, they move it to LAP fund. But you cannot tell staff that because I'm absorbing you to permanent and pensionable, you don't need your gratuity. They need it. It is the decision, because that's the law.
How much are we talking?
We are talking about if they do it now, which is 5 years, 3 months, we are talking about 8.7 billion. If they will do it after, that is up to May next year, then you talk about 9.7 billion. It's a lot of money, and the MOH should not transfer the staff to the counties without paying that gratuity and the pension.
So this gratuity is separate from the 7.8?
It is completely different, because the 7.8 is what's required to pay them their salaries per year. Mm-hmm. But the gratuity is what's required to be paid one-off for the years they have done, which you cannot transfer them, or you cannot move them to a new scheme without paying the contractual obligation, which is the gratuity in the other contract that has just ended. We need to be human.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at before we proceed, at some of the feedback that has come in. We have Isaac Ali 20, who says, as UHC staff, we strongly feel some governors are advancing selfish interests at the expense of our welfare and growth. We urge them to allow the MOH to change our terms of service to PNP while retaining the payroll under the national government until May next year. Your response?
Well, it sounds like a very unfair statement, because as I sit here, I am not here on behalf of myself, neither am I here on behalf of the Tharaka Nithi County. I'm here on behalf of the COG, which represents the 47 counties of Kenya. And the UHC staff, we are on the same side with them. It is only that they do not understand that we are advocating for them not to be given a piecemeal or one-plate meal. They should be given a permanent and pensionable solution to their problem, just the same way they're asking. There's no need of cheating our kids and giving them a pay for 10 months. And then after 10 months, you dump them in the counties, and there's nothing for them.
All right.
That is why they need to make a decision between having a full plate for 10 months and later having nothing. And we have a conversation whereby we get something tangible, not a promise.
All right.
And the only tangible thing can be in the DORA and translated to Kara to show that we've increased the DORA for the counties by 7.8 billion for them to absorb the staff in future.
All right, here we have Ann Kim's 13260, who says UHC workers have been on contractual employment for 5.5 years. Their time of absorption is now or never. If governors feel it's unconstitutional, we then demand that the national government retains us in national hospitals. Let's get some more feedback. This is by Babu Michael, who says the absorption of UHC workers should be taken seriously by both the central and county governments. Amicable solution should be found for a win-win situation. Remember, their lives and livelihoods at stake. Such discussions should be the most honest ones. Let me ask you this. Babu Michael talks about an amicable, conversation, an amicable solution. You have, I assume, Aden Duale's phone number. Have you called him?
We talk every day.
And
yes, we do.
So why is he releasing a statement saying one thing and you're responding? Are you communicating in press statements?
We have an agreement with the ministry, and we discussed this issue several times, that we need to provide resources for us to have permanent and pensionable in perpetuity. But all of a sudden, the ministry feels, and you can't dictate how they work. They say, let's give them for 10 months. After 10 months, the counties, you'll sort yourself out. How do we sort ourselves out? Because counties receive exchequer from the treasury. All of us have one exchequer. There's only one country. It's only that we have two levels of government, and therefore resources come from the treasury of one country. So if you say it is a county government's problem after these 10 months, then the counties will have no choice but to say that we are not able to pay these 7,000 employees, which could be catastrophic. Can you imagine pulling out 7,476 staff out of our system at the moment? Even this UHC we are talking about, it will not work. So when we talk about amicable solution, it is about resources. And that is where they should focus. Not resources now, but resources to do a permanent and pensionable absorption in the future.
So if you say these are issues that are already canvassed,
yes.
Has the Ministry of Health reneged on what you discussed?
Yes, because there is no commitment for providing these resources in perpetuity. They just want to deal with the problem of now, which is the 10 months. But later, they say later will take care of itself.
All right. So
should not be the case.
Okay, let's take a look at this feedback from Kane Carter too. Governors are opposed to the so this is to do with e-procurement. Will you take it?
Yeah, no problem.
Right. Governors are opposed to the e-government procurement, not because of the technical hitches with it, but because it seals the inflated cost avenues. If successfully implemented, the post of governor will be the least attractive seat in 2027 after MCA.
Well, that's a question I would rather, I don't want to answer it, but the e-procurement is not meant for the county governments. The e-procurement is for the whole of government of Kenya. May it be the CDF, may it be Ministry of Health, may it be Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all of us have to be on the same platform. And we are not opposed to e-procurement. Our only problem is time is moving and this system is not ready. We are about to finish the first quarter. No procurement done, no development done. Things are at standstill. And therefore we are saying, let it be brought like yesterday and let it be working.
All right.
Because again, if it's brought and it's not working, it is about the lives of people. So they should bring a system that is working and that does not have hitches and that is being implemented seamlessly. Because we had, all new systems usually have teething problems, but they are usually resolved as we move. For example, we had IFMIS. When IFMIS was introduced, things were a bit slow. So we were allowed to use half. Some of the functions were let to be manual, then a bit of it IFMIS, then eventually we were all on the IFMIS, and it works very well. So the same way we accepted IFMIS and now things are streamlined, I believe we procure to this work in the same way. And let it go on record. County governments are not opposed to e-procurement. We are only opposed to the fact that it is taking too long and things are not working, and we are serving people who cannot wait for services, including even the medicine. For you to procure that, you procure medicine. Are you allowed to procure outside e-procurement? Of course not, unless you're buying from KEMSA, which is E2E, which is G2G. But sometimes KEMSA may not be having what you need. You need to procure in other areas like the meds, which is also not the government, and therefore you need a system that is working. That is just one of the examples that is very sensitive.
All right.
That is it.
Okay, so the next one by Sir Nixon Ndugiri has to do with what you've talked about, e-procurement. And he says, Governor Njuki, from where you sit, one, what will be the fallback in case the e-procurement system crashes? I presume that one would be better proposed to the National Treasury.
Correct.
And then how's the protection of this new system from cyber criminals? Again, National Treasury. Just quickly looking at some other feedback that has come in before I release you, just so that you get the sentiments of these UHC workers. Is Austin, who says health workers have been employed in these counties within the period the UHC have been working under contract. Where did the governors get the money? Ama hii ni UHC ndio haiko, but you said the payroll has been with the Ministry.
It is still with the ministry.
It's still with the ministry.
Paying them half the rate, market rate.
Okay. Then Evans Odwori says, kindly ask Njuki this. Why is it so easy for COG to insist on having this staff on punitive contract and terms for the next 10 months? Instead, just show goodwill and immediately allow the change of terms of engagement to PNP. These are children of this nation, not foreigners. Let me see. This is on Sakya Jason, who says, we humbly appeal to our governors, please be kind to us. For too long, we have been disowned with the claim that we belong to the national government. Yet at the same time, relatives and close associates are being hired into positions. We deserve fairness, dignity, and recognition. So those are just some of the sentiments that have come in. So your last word on this. What is your assurance to them?
Our assurance to the UHC is that we are on the same side with them. The county governments, executive are not opposed to their absorption. We are only opposed to having piecemeal, or what we would say, treating the symptom and not a disease. We do not want our staff to be duped into permanent and pensionable for only 8 months or 10 months, and thereafter have no money for the permanent and pensionable. We would like, therefore, to have a conversation, the ministry and the COG, and have something that is penned in our agreements, including what we normally call the APAs, on how we shall be able to get the resources for maintaining this staff, not just for the next 10 months, but in perpetuity. Some of them are very young. Most of them are in 20s and 30s. They still have about 20, 25 years to work. There is no way that can be solved by giving them permanent and pensionable for only 10 months without having a future. Okay, that is very important.
Okay, I know I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'm going to ask you to answer it in as little amount of time as possible. This is Christine, who says, why did the governor decide to request MOH to stop the salaries of 138 UHC staff for Tharaka Nithi, while all other UHC staff are getting their salaries? This is the second month without being paid, yet we are working. What is he doing to make sure the salaries are reinstated?
That must be a staff from Tharaka Nithi. If you don't work, you don't get pay. And that is what I told you, that when you're having payroll in the ministry and the staff in your facilities, there's a gap where some staff don't report to work, yet the ministry is still paying them. So it is our responsibility as the people who hold the custody of the responsibility by the people of the county of Tharaka Nithi to ensure that the people who are being paid are the people who are at work and providing value for the money for the people of Tharaka Nithi.
Is there an appeal mechanism?
All the staff came back, those who are away, and because it was only maybe less than half of them. We have since written to the ministry and asked them to pay them. So definitely in the next 1 month, I'm sure they'll get their pay. It's not a problem. But I've told them if they leave again, they will not be able to get their salaries. It's not just Tharaka Nithi. It's just that staff maybe from Tharaka Nithi. You cannot get a salary if you're not working. It's not fair.
All right, so we'll end the conversation there. Thank you very much for speaking to us this evening. The governor of Tharaka Nithi County, Muthomi Njuki, who is also the chair of the COG Health Committee, speaking on the fate of universal health care workers in the counties. We take a break, but Citizen Sunday Live continues on the other side.